It's Kevin Hincks at the CBOE with our pre-bell playbook. So yesterday we snapped 7 days of gains, right? We had to take a breather there, up arrows this morning. And as I mentioned, we'll have the Fed minutes later. How are you feeling this Wednesday morning?
Good morning, Nicole. Yeah, a cautiously higher market to start the day after a day yesterday that started in the green and then just lost its momentum throughout the day and ended a bit lower. Not a significant sell-off, but still. But green today as we get some mortgage applications data that was a bit softer. Rates have kind of stalled at these levels, as you know. But all the things that you're watching on your screens today are significant. The dollar slightly higher due to, that relationship trade. The Japanese yen is about 0.5% lower. Again, pretty significant sell-off going on right now in the Japanese yen. Despite that, gold is just incredibly now 51% higher for the last 12 months, now an 85 on the relative strength index. So a severe oversold gold market continues to go higher. Bitcoin along with it. Yields, you're right, 4.1% as we wait for Fed minutes this afternoon that will get that. Should give us a fair amount of data about remember, a Fed that gave us the SEP, moved on interest rates. There was a big divergence between opinions on how much rates should move, a little, a lot, none at all. So we'll get some information there. You made a point. Jensen Huang gave a big long interview this morning that touched on a lot of different companies and a lot of names. He talked a lot about xAI and Elon Musk and basically said, I want to be involved in anything he's involved in. Pretty glowing report from Jensen Huang about Elon Musk. So there's a lot going on here. Again, as we wait we'll get some earnings out tomorrow morning. Delta Airlines, PepsiCo, those come out tomorrow before the bell, before we get to October 14th and the bank. So a fair amount going on here, but futures, pre-market, very modestly, very cautiously higher on the day, Nicole.
And I know we're going to be talking a lot about Nvidia, but quickly, it has deals with OpenAI. As far as xAI and Elon Musk, I think the report said, I'm not really sure if he's actually invested. He said he could invest right up to as much as $2 billion. So I'm not sure. We'll have to continue to follow that story and how it breaks out. But it shows that maybe, Elon Musk and Jensen Huang could have a bromance of some sort. And maybe something good could come out of that. When we think about these tech names, they are truly unstoppable because we've seen the NASDAQ, for example, yesterday hit a record again. It came back off, but pretty great run for some of these Mag 7 names at least.
Yeah, first let's touch briefly on the Jensen Huang interview. Couple things that he said were significant. Number one, he didn't really know about the AMD OpenAI deal before it was announced. I'm shocked that he didn't know, since remember he just gave a pretty sizable investment into OpenAI. So I think that's interesting. He thought that giving away 10% of the company was a bit strange, that they were so aggressive there. He talked about CoreWeave. He talked about xAI. He talked about a bunch of different names. He talked about the use of artificial intelligence going forward. It was a pretty, let's put it this way. There were a lot of terms I had to check and see what they meant and see what they were about, because, man, it was a wide-ranging interview. But that being said, the markets saw it pretty favorably. I think the market, Nvidia is up slightly pre-market, so we'll see how that plays out during the day. But like I said, what you're watching for, because of yesterday, failed rallies. All right, are we getting failed rallies after 7 days up? A failed rally yesterday. That's what traders are watching for again today. See if these green shoots to start the day hold or fail, over the morning, Nicole.
Yeah, you know what else, Kevin? I'm excited for earnings season because most of the folks I speak with, right, and a lot of folks talk about a slowing economy, but they've been talking about earnings and fundamentals still looking relatively good and the outlook and all that. And we'll kick it off later in the week. We're going to hear from, later in the week, we're already halfway there, Delta and Pepsi and Levi Strauss and Tilray, and then it'll be the banks, after that the following week. But I mean, earnings season is almost upon us.
Yeah, and the banks, you mentioned, the banks will start us off right on the 14th. And think about it, with a steepening yield curve, a good U.S. consumer, a good economy, the banks could put up some pretty stellar numbers here. Then we'll get airlines. We start with Delta, then we'll get the rest of the airlines early in the season. Is the U.S. traveler keeping up and continue to travel? So we'll watch that. Pepsi is a consumer staple. That stock has been heavy lately. We'll see if there's any recovery there. So, yeah, I think earnings, with the strength of the U.S. economy, the strength of the U.S. consumer, this could be a pretty interesting earnings season. And that could be the next catalyst for us to take it higher into the end of the year. Could be earnings, Nicole.
Also, we have the Fed, and that's not what I want to talk. I want to talk about Freeport-McMoRan and gold. But, I do want to know who's going to be the next Fed chair. I know we have over 10 folks in the running, but I'm going to put that aside because we did mention the Federal Open Market Committee minutes later today at 2 o'clock. Today, Freeport-McMoRan, Wells Fargo, with an overweight and a $47 target. Citigroup has a buy and a $48 target. It's at $40. And yesterday, one of my guests said while he liked gold, he was switching to more industrial metals, right? And doing that because he felt like he was looking at copper, lithium, aluminum, silver even, industrial type metals, that maybe gold had its run, that they had turned bullish since October of 2022. They had been bullish on gold. So this was Chris Watling yesterday. So it was interesting, I thought. And then we got this Freeport-McMoRan hike today.
Yeah, Freeport-McMoRan, remember, they're heavily involved in copper. And so is that tied to housing? Yes, it is. But also industrial metals in general. You can't have gold do what it's been doing without dragging a sector of metals or industrial metals along with it. So I think that's why you're seeing Freeport-McMoRan is so involved in all the industrial metals, but especially copper. If housing gets better over the next couple of months, that could also help Freeport-McMoRan. Yeah, Freeport-McMoRan, if you notice, they're heavy into the copper markets.
Okay. Kevin, great to see you. Have a great day there at the CBOE, friend. Enjoy. The bells will be ringing soon enough.